Hi, I'm Mark Wybrow and this is the Electronic Cafe, the channel for the lovers of electronic music.
And I'm Andy McNabb. So let's get started. So welcome to another brilliant interview edition of the Electronic Cafe. In this episode, we'll show you the chat that Mark and I had with the rather brilliant Rodney Cromwell. As you know, Memory Box is one of our favourite albums this year. So when we heard it, we said, we've got to get this guy on for a chat. He's also, aka Adam Cresswell, the owner and founder of Happy Robots Records. So we got to talk to an amazing artist who happens to own a record label as well. What a brilliant conversation. What a great guy. Can't wait to show you that. Also, a couple of things I want to mention. If you haven't got your tickets for the live event next March at the Water Axe, March the 25th, Electronic Cafe Live presents National Milk Bar, Cult with No Name, and Beautiful Machines. A brilliant night of music. Get your tickets now while you can, because they are going to sell out fast. The venue only holds 200. It's a very, very cool place. Very, very cool bands. And Mark and I can't wait to see it. So get your tickets. So I'll ask Mark to put a link at the bottom of the page. Also, if you haven't subscribed to Blitzed magazine, which Mark and I have put in a little page in every now and then, thanks to the brilliant Tom over at Silverback Publishing. Absolutely brilliant guy. We're super pleased to be part of this and contributing what we can. So there's a little page of critical genius from me and Mark. Hope you enjoyed the magazine. It's a fantastic publication. Get your hands on it while you can. It's brilliant. Okay, that's enough from me. Let's go and look at the great chat we had with the rather amazing Rodney Cromwell. Enjoy.
No one's got a bad word to say about you.
Really?
No, mate, you're really loved.
You haven't dug deep enough. Oh, there's stories I can tell you, but not while you're recording it, that's for sure.
So, hi everyone, welcome to another fantastic Electronic Cafe interview moment. Mark and I have been fans of this guy's work for some time now, and also wondering how the hell he has the time to be such an awesome recording artist and run a record label, which is very cool, Happy Robots. So we want to welcome Rodney Cromwell. Welcome to Electronic Cafe, my friend. We're so delighted you're here today.
Hello guys, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be invited.
Thanks for giving up your afternoon to speak to us, boys.
Yeah, totally. And mate, first of all, I'm going to raid the merch box here, but congrats on this. We absolutely... Oh, one's just fallen behind me. Make sure I save Alice Hubble. Hang on.
Alice is.
Yes, Alice. I want to kill that.
Mental.
But, you know, one of our favourite albums so far this year. Absolutely loving it. You must be delighted with the response you're getting from this album.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, to be honest. You know, it's kind of terrifying when you record these things. You think, oh God, is anybody going to like it or not? But yeah, the response has been absolutely brilliant. You know, when I did Age of Anxiety and I stuck that one out, which was my first album, I didn't think anybody would even listen to it. That was the thing. It literally was. I wanted to get it off my hard drive and just, be done with it. I was thinking about kind of giving up music forever. One of my friends has said I've given up music more times than Elton John, which is about right, to be honest. So I stuck that one out. And as I say, people suddenly started liking it. And, I'm still talking about that blooming album 7 years later. And then when this one came out, I knew there'd be people listening to it. There'd be a few people that are really excited about it, and a few other people wanted me to completely fail. And so it was kind of nervous, when I put it out. And obviously, because it is pressed on yellow, expensive vinyl, there's a kind of financial risk as well. But yes, it's gone down really well, and it's sold really nicely. So I'm really
brilliant. Mate, really, and I think I think what I like about it resonates. And I think Mark and I went back and listened to Age of Anxiety, and I think it was Rodney's Disco, and they're all sonically different but really good. I mean, what inspires you? Is it the moment, or just where you are in your life that particular time?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both, really. I mean, I'm inspired by books, and I read a lot, and films. I nick a lot of ideas out of films, always sitting there, watching things with my iPhone. I'll write that down. I'll remember that one, especially the song titles and stuff. But yeah, it really is context. I mean, things going on around me. So Age of Anxiety was a bunch of songs I sort of started writing, and then I was suffering really badly with depression and anxiety and myself at the time, and that kind of became the theme, and that was kind of what resonated with a lot of people when I put it out. Rodney's English Disco was written around about the same time as the referendum on the membership of the European Union, and it just seemed like people were just fighting against each other. I was still kind of a bit, I'm a bit of a Remainer for my sins, and I felt very sad about everything that was going on, and that's kind of like what came out in that record. And then that's funny, the last song of that album, or that EP, Dreamland, is about kind of like waking it up and wishing none of it had ever happened.
Why did you have to believe we had such a child life? We had such a child life.
Which in a weird, I've only just thought about it the other day, runs really nicely into the new album, which is the first couple of songs are kind of, Intercom is kind of like based on when I looked out the window and the road was full of police vans or whatever during the first lockdown, and then like living in a police state. And then Opus 3 is a kind of dystopian thing, really about standing on the edge of the end of the world. But then it goes into the memory box, and the whole thing falls into this, rabbit hole where it all gets a bit more psychological and psychedelic, I guess. And I suddenly realized, and then that became the theme to the album, really, me looking inside my own inner psyche. I guess that all sounds a bit pretentious, but basically.
But the final track, The Winter Palace, I think it's a fantastic track.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of like pull things back, really. So it goes to Calculations, which is this kind of like electronic noise, almost like Eno doing Mogwai. And then Winter Palace, I was like, I'm just going to put this pop cold wave thing that I'd written. I mean, I spent ages on that one. It was written in a different key. I wrote the lyrics 3 times. I had to pitch it all down. And because I used mainly analog synths, I had to re-record pretty much everything. Wow. But I knew that song had potential to be strong, so I just...
Yeah, it's a great song. I mean, it's a great closing track. I love that song.
I described it to Mark as the hairs on the back of your neck track. As soon as the first time I heard it, I was like, holy fuck. It's just like, fell in love with it. How do you balance that whole... I mean, we just listened to you talking about all the work you've done in your music. How the hell do you find time to run a record label as well? It's incredible.
Well, I think you should ask my wife that, really. I mean, you make a lot of sacrifices, ultimately. I've got a young family, and obviously I want to spend as much time as I can with my kids, although they're more interested in playing Roblox and Minecraft and hanging around with their old man anyway. you know, how you balance it, I just make it up as I go along, really. And lots of people people think, they assume you must be like super organized. I'm always getting asked by people, oh, could you share me your like press, like mailing list or whatever, thinking that I must have like thousands of names on it, like some whiz access database or whatever. And it literally isn't. Half the time, I just go into my Gmail and type, oh God, Mark, I need to email that bloke. What's his name? Mark. Wait, which one is it? They're all called Mark, you know. And so it's all just kind of like made up as I go along, really. It's no, you know, but you do have to make sacrifices. So, for example, I don't have a faintest idea what has been going on in the world of professional football for the last 15 years or whatever, because I just don't have time for that. You know, so you know, there's certain. I don't know what the latest TikTok craze is as well, which is probably a good thing. You know, there's certain things you just can't do because you've got.
I get it. I guess if you're passionate enough about both sides, you find the time somehow, don't you? As you say, 'cause you love what you do, which makes it that bit easier, I guess. But you know, when I see these, Mark and I talking about some of the artists you've got, and you know, the brilliant work you're doing, and you're touring and gigging, it's like wow.
Me and Andy started doing Electronic Cafe. I mean, we I work in the city, Andy's in sort of media, we both got busy jobs and we've got no free time, and God knows why we even agreed to do it. But Andy said, do you fancy doing it? I said, yeah. We went out, we bought,
he's never forgiven me since.
Bought cameras and microphones within the space of 15 minutes. And then before you know it, we're doing it. We had no idea what we was doing to start with. But then, you know, it's like any hobby other than what you do professionally, it takes time and certain things have to give, you know. I mean, we put a lot of time into this, and but you know, it's a passion for us, and like your label is with you, and you find the time to do it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to do, when I used to travel to work, I used to do 45 minutes on the train in the morning, 45 minutes on the way home, you know, on the phone or whatever. You know, and you know, so I would make up an hour and a half every day, and then do a couple more hours when I get in. And then obviously since the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff, and stopped going to work as much, going to the office, I've had to find kind of new ways of doing it. Really, you know, wake up early in the morning. But you wake up in the morning sometimes and go, oh bother, I've got to put that album on Bandcamp this morning or whatever else it is. You know, I need to email so and so because their record turned up in New Zealand and it's got a broken spine and I've got to sort it out. That kind of, you know.
So why did you start a label? I mean, like, it's a fantastic label and you've done brilliantly.
Oh, it is.
But why?
Why did I?
What made you think? Do you know what? I'm going to do a record label.
So Happy Robots is in iteration 2 at the moment. Iteration 1 was done with me and Alice Hubble when we were in Arthur and Martha. Back in 2008, 2009. Basically, we recorded that album, Navigation, and we just couldn't find a label to put it out. You know, that was around the same time as the credit crunch, around that sort of time. And also labels were starting to put everything out digitally, and we wanted to do something physical. And people would say, yeah, we put it out, but it's going to be like digital only. Well, we didn't want to do that. And I had lots of contacts anyway, because I'd been in like the saloon and stuff beforehand, and so I knew like distributors. So I was like, you know what, let's just do it ourselves. So you know, it was that punk ethos almost. So we put together a label to do Arthur and Martha, but then you know that whole project kind of, I didn't have any money. We didn't have any money at all, and other things happened in our personal lives. You know, that I just needed a break from music for years. So then come Age of Anxiety, and I was like, you know what, I just want to draw a line under this, get this off of my computer. I'll just stick it out on Happy Robots. I can't be bothered talking to anybody. So I brought the label back to life to stick it out. And obviously people liked the album. And then a friend of mine, Morgane LaHote from Hologram Teen, who's known to most people because she was in Stereolab for quite a few years.
Oh, right. Love Stereolab.
Yeah, during the sort of mid-period. She was a friend of mine. I'd known her. I recorded an album with her a few years back. She was like, oh, can you put out my new single on your label? And I was like, it's not really a proper label. You know, it's just me mucking around. She was like, of course it's a label. And you take it really seriously. I was like, oh, okay. And then when you know, A, she's a friend, and B, she used to be in stereo loud. How can I turn it down?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
before you know it, I had a label, you know, and then you know, I wasn't. And then Magnetic Pets, I said to them, I met them in a bar. They were doing one of those all dayers. I said to them, "Oh, have you got any songs, you know, and you're interested in doing an album? Just let me have a listen to it beforehand." And then they sent me stuff like the next day, and pretty much bit my hand off to do it. And then I decided, you know what, this is a great album. It was Deluxe Debris. I would say this, but I think it was the best album, obviously because I released it. But you know, I decided, you know, I'm going to do an LP. It was a big gamble for me at the time because I didn't have much money. My wife was working as a childminder, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to invest some money in this. And then, of course, Wolfgang Flur's on it, blimey. And then I didn't even know that when I said I'd do it. And then the next couple of weeks later, we got a tour with OMD. So, you know, I was like, whoa, suddenly I had this, ended up being a hit album.
Yeah.
You know, we sold loads of it on that OMD tour. In fact, a lot of the money, I'd come home from the dates or whatever, and with a big wad of cash, and it goes straight to the builders who built this loft extension for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and before you know it, you know, now I put out an album with someone from, I've had someone from Stereolab, someone from Kraftwerk on the label. Yeah. Suddenly it's like, oh, right, I'm serious.
So is that your TMP wing that you're recording this in?
Yeah. They pay for this little bit. Yeah. Not far.
Girl in a white dress, 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 waves from afar in an Italian car. And I wonder if she waves to me. Girl in a white dress, waves.
Well,
Actually, I mean, yeah, you've got some great artists on your label. I mean, there's yourself, Mood Taeg, Alice Hubble, Arthur and Martha, which I know. Until you said then, I didn't realise
Alice.
Martha was Alice Hubble. I mean
yeah.
I love the Alice Hubble records.
Yeah.
I mean, I love those. And when you said that, I thought, what? She's Martha. And
Yeah. That's absolutely. So I've known Alice for longer than probably either of us would want to admit. I think since the summer of 2001, I think, maybe 2000. I think it's 2001. We've known each other a long time. She was like 18 when we met. She was a gig promoter in Leeds, and yeah, or maybe I should have said 14. Alice, sorry, yeah, 12. She was 12. Whatever. You know. No, we've known each other ages. I mean, she's my best mate, really.
Yeah.
And you know, we worked on Arthur and Martha, but that thing fell apart, not because we fell out or anything, just because we had loads of, you know, my mum died the day the album came out. I just didn't want to do music anymore.
Of course not.
You know, and so that's why I took a break from it. And it was a shame, really, because that album, I'd say it got mixed reviews, but most of the reviews were good. I think The Enemy was pretty poor, but everything else was great. And then there was people I didn't even know, and I basically had nothing to do with music after that album. I just wanted anything to do with it. I did decorating basically for 4.5 years. I did tinker around a bit at home, but it was no idea of releasing anything. And then it wasn't until I started doing Rodney Cromwell, people were like, "Oh, yeah, I really loved that Arthur and Martha album you did," or whatever. Or they suddenly realised. So people like, you know, Dean from Bluetown Electronica, he turned out he was a big fan. Various other Eugene from Tiny Magnetic Pets, yeah, you know, they all knew it, and I was like, I didn't know anybody knew it, you know. And then I sort of Googled it, and I was like, oh yeah, actually it did all right, didn't it? You know, I hadn't given it any thought whatsoever. So
I think the Field Glass, sorry Andy, I think the Field Glass album is a really good album as well.
Oh, that's a lovely album, yeah, yeah, it's really nice.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't have to talk about that. It's sold out.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Hey,
plug that now.
Is it, mate? I mean, it's difficult. I suppose it's a difficult question to answer, so maybe I shouldn't ask it. But I'm kind of curious. Is there anything specific you look for when you're signing artists? I mean, obviously it makes your ears happy, but is that it? Is it just you hit it and you hear it and you feel it? Is that what makes you go, right, I want to sign these guys?
It's not. I mean, no. Let's be honest, right? There's a lot of nepotism involved. Morgan, I knew already, as I say. Alice, I've known for donkey's years. Roman Angelos, he was Richard. I met him through Morgie. Sinosa, she did a one-off single with us. A single I really love. One of my favourite things I've ever put out. She was a friend of Morgan's. So they're all connected. The only two acts really with no connection before were TMP, who I kind of knew from the scene, and then Taeg. Taeg did that one of those rare acts that they messaged me on Instagram with just like a link to SoundCloud or something. Normally, I would just delete that when I'm listening, but for some reason, don't pitch to an art label or them in Instagram. But for something about it made me prick up my ears, and I listened to it, and I was like, "Whoa, it's the best of Noi" or something. I wasn't desperate. I think I'd just done Alice's album at the time. I didn't have much time on my hands. I wasn't desperate to take on any new artists. But with Taeg, I was like, if I don't sign these guys, they're going to go to Polytechnic Youth or one of these labels, these other Castles in Space, one of these kind of like micro labels. Yeah. And I'm going to see the record come out in 8 months' time, and I'm going to be like jealous as hell. Why didn't I do that? So, I've got to do it. So.
Because they're quite an international project, aren't they? They're scattered all over.
Oh, I mean, two of them live in Berlin. One of them lives in Shanghai. But two of them are originally from like Dundee, and they got all people from Dundee in the band and stuff.
That's an international mix, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So they're very, very real mix. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I love this album. Absolutely, think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then get for your own stuff. I mean, I'm guessing you've got a ton of equipment. This is where Mark might get a bit jealous. Analog, digital for your own music, do you use, or is it a bit of both?
A bit of both. It's a bit of both. I mean, I've got 3 bass guitars now. I've got 3 bass guitars, and I've finally got rid of the bass amp my mum bought me on my 18th birthday I mean, it was really heavy. I'm getting too old to carry it up the stairs. So I bought a bass amp off a guy I know, a nice little orange one. So yeah, but most, there's a bit of that analog stuff, but it's a mix, really. It's a mix.
Do you record it onto Logic or something, or is that your?
Let's not talk about that. I do.
Okay.
There's all these people who are really into their like DAWs, right? What they use, and it's all about, what thing they use. I use GarageBand. I use a very old version of GarageBand. I know exactly when it's going to crash and stuff like that. I can set it. I've lost because I taught myself on a 4-track tape recorder. So all the stuff I did with earlier stuff we put out with Saloon was all done on a 4-track tape recorder. And that's how I learned. And I don't like loads of whizzy stuff. So most of it is analog stuff. And with my cruddy version of GarageBand, you can't do very much with it. Now I don't mix it on that. I'm not a psycho or anything, that would be insane. I'll get someone else to mix it for me. But I do the basic recording on something as basic as possible. And that's why a lot of the stuff does sound a bit lo-fi. But the records that I like, a lot of the records I like sound like that. Whether it's an indie band like Flying Saucer Attack or even early kind of like Section 25 and stuff like that, I really like, So
I
remember I had my first cassette 4-track, and then me and Andy bought an 8-track, and then when our band was doing quite well, we went into a 16-track in London.
Whoa.
We had a weekend in a 16-track, which we got a few copies of that. And then now, obviously I went to GarageBand, and I go on to Logic now. I mean, all self-taught. But looking back, what we paid for a weekend in a 16-track in London, that doesn't sound anything near as good as just a demo you do on Logic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can get quite lazy, whereas like with the old synths that I used to I've got synthesizers. You used to have to find the sounds and you manipulate it and you get it how you want it. Whereas now you can just scroll. It's literally like going through a worksheet and just picking sounds. And you haven't got that inventive streak anymore. You just move on to the next sound. It's a little bit too easy.
That's why I don't do it. It's all about, my analog synths really, and finding the sounds on them. The Winter Palace. I mean, the kind of plinky plonky arpeggio thing on there, it was all done on this ARP, and every single note, it's all played by hand.
Yeah.
And then you might do a little bit of tidying up, but I can still hear the bum notes.
You got an ARP Odyssey, have you?
No. All my old synths are all entry level synths, let's just call them. So I've had them for it's all my gear, all my analog stuff is stuff that I've had for donkey's years. I haven't bought a new synth apart from one for playing live since 2003. So I've got two monophonic synths, which are the MS-10, the Korg MS-10, and the Moog Rogue. And I've got two poly synths, which is the Moog Opus 3, which the song's named after, lazily, because I wrote the song on it and couldn't be bothered to think of a proper name. And then this one here, which is the Quartet, which is sort of string sound. And I've got a couple of microcords, as I say, I use for playing live now, because playing the MS-10 or whatever live was an absolute headache. But that really, if you could you go back to the songs I did when I was, in Indie Band's Saloon in 2002, listen to the song Intimacy there. You listen to the Arthur and Martha stuff. You listen to a lot of the Rodney Cromwell stuff. It's all the same. You can suddenly realise, you know what? It's all a variation on the same themes, the same sound, because I use the same synths. I'm not like, I look at what Pete, I watched your video with Peter Fitzpatrick, and
it's like the TARDIS, wasn't it?
He's got. I know exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, much as I love Peter, I couldn't live like. I'd just be like, it's like being inside the Matrix or the Terminator world or something like that. To me, it's just a bit too much electronics. I couldn't. And you'd be forever. I'd spend equally just as much time trying to find a sound on them. With the synths I've got, I know what my limitations are, and then you start thinking about the arrangements, the melodies, the lyrics, and stuff like that, rather than it just being the synths dominating it. To me, they're just a tool. Yeah. I'm not someone who fetishes on them.
Like an obsession, so many years, won't let it be, won't let it be, won't let it be, catastrophe, won't let it be, won't let it be, won't let it be, catastrophe.
Yeah, it's so easy on Logic or GarageBand or whatever to quantize with the sounds you've got in there and just get everything tight. But I think I'm a bit like you. I mean, I use a lot of my analog synths and record it onto Logic, not using the software synths, so you haven't got that metronomic perfection.
Yeah.
And it kind of rolls a little bit. We spoke to Wolfgang Flur a few months ago. And I was just fascinated, with Kraftwerk when they did that stuff in the 70s. That there was no quantization, there was no computers, there was no, the precision of the Kraftwerk tracks was just manually played onto tape, not into computers, not quantized.
Yeah.
And Wolfgang was a little bit dismissive about it. They said, you was in the room when those songs were being made. Like, what was it like? And he just went, speak to Cole Bartos, I don't know. But it's fascinating that some of those records are like 74, 75, and
I just guess that Wolfgang just he's like me. He's not, to him it's no big deal. It's a tool.
You're exactly right.
It's a sound, and it's not about that.
Emotions confused, drunken follows for affection, two broken people needing a connection or two. 1, 2, 3, and I fall in love with my projections on you. I just see
outside of your label, do you get and all the work? Do you get a chance to listen to new bands? Is anyone else out there you're listening? You go, I like them, or you can tell our viewers about? Because I really love guys like you telling other people about new bands, new artists that they maybe don't know.
Well, I hoped you might ask me this.
As if by magic.
So I've been listening to like Gemma Cullingford's stuff a lot. But I've got her new album on order with Norman Records, and they've changed their policy now. So you add to the order, and it just keeps adding on things. So every time I'm adding something, and it's like not out yet, I've just got this massive order building up. I think by the time it arrives at my house, there's going to be like a pallet of vinyl. Anyway, so Gemma's is part of that. So very good record. So what am I listening to? This is what I've been listening to. I just pulled out the things I've been listening to lately. Confidence Man. If you don't like this, you're not a human being.
I love it.
There's no joy in your soul. They're absolutely brilliant. They're the best live band there are out there.
Fantastic.
So what else have we got? We got these guys, Mitra on Polytechnic Youth.
Yeah, I got those.
Yeah, that's good.
Have you got the first one, the Marionettes album?
No, this was the only one I got. Is that good as well?
Marionettes, yeah, I prefer Marionettes, but I've got that as well.
Really?
It's good.
That's good. I really like that. I mean,
it's a good album.
I like a bit of.
I love in this, mate. Get personal recommendations from Rodney Cromwell. Amazing.
Oh, this guy is, well, you might get disappointed in a minute. This is a mate of mine, actually. I will big him up. Negative Response. Do you know him? A bloke called Steve. This is his album. He's done loads. He recorded a load of stuff in the 80s. It's all been reissued. Did it at home on a 4-track with a DR55 drum machine.
Yeah,
that's all been reissued.
Yeah,
this is his album and new stuff. But I mean, it's good as well, and I like him a lot. So again, it's more kind of like cold wavy stuff.
Yes,
like
that.
This one, well, I've been listening to this quite a bit. I do listen to a lot of jazz as well. As I don't just listen to.
Nice.
Far from it. I don't listen to synth music at all, particularly when I put an album out for some reason. So this one was Thelonious Monk, and it's called Monk. And I really like his stuff anyway. And I saw this, and it's like Japanese with an obi strip, and I was like, oh god,
I love an obi strip.
It just looks so nice. So I had
obi strip, multicolours, signed. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah.
We'll see the word limited. I'm straight in.
Oh, really? Yours, behold. So this one's Broadcast. They've done 3 reissues this year. If you like sort of psychedelic sort of stuff, this one is called Mother in the Milky Way. It's my favourite of the 3 they brought out. If you like the sort of Ghost Box record stuff, focus group sort of stuff, you love this. I really like that. It's one of my all-time favourite bands. So we're going now to. I'm a big fan for French pop, and I've just got back from a holiday in France. Bought too many records over there. So Stromae is one of my all-time favourite artists. He's actually from Belgium. He's one of the biggest acts in Europe. Lot less electronic this album, but real pop. He writes about things like anxiety and stuff. As does this lady Pom as well. This is like French ballads kind of stuff. She's got a song on here called Anxiety. It's absolutely beautiful. Really, really like this record.
I love the cover on that.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. The cover's superb. I've been listening to that a lot. Almost at the end now, guys.
This is great.
Requin Chagrin, also from France. I had no idea my friend Remy Parson actually contributed contributed something to this. I think he wrote some lyrics or something for it. And this is kind of like a little bit synth wavy, but with guitars and stuff like that. Nice. And this is my favourite album of the year, which I never would have thought I would have said this, in December, but it's by an artist called Aurora. She first came to prominence in the UK. I think she did a Marks and Spencer's advert or something, and I don't normally listen to that sort of stuff. But I heard the track, what was it, Cure for Me, at the beginning of the year, which is kind of like electronica with a Charleston waltz in the middle of it. And I was just like, wow, that is so original. And I went to see her live, and I was just blown away. I think she's brilliant. And if you like, there's electronic stuff on it. There's also kind of like almost like Nancy and Lee moments in it as well that, and some really nice ballads. I really like that. It's my favourite album.
Wow.
To be honest, I paid the bits.
Well, thanks
And
for
there you
that.
go,
I mean, that's cost us probably about another £100 in records.
Yeah, I'm looking at everyone and going, right, I've got Mark. Send me this, make a
and
note.
some.
Send me yes, I know, some great recommendations there, mate.
We'll buy half and half, Andy, yeah?
Yeah, well, you can check them out on Spotify first, because obviously don't try before you buy. You know, that's the beauty. That's the one good thing about these days. You can do that with most things, can't you?
So as a youngster, what music was you listening to growing up, which kind of led you down the electronic path, or not necessarily the electronic path?
Well, it was, you know, when I was really little, my first band I was into was The Police when I was about 8, no, maybe younger than that, to be honest. When I was there, so I don't know, whatever. The Police had the first 3 Police albums, and I liked that, but I was never massively into. Top of the Pops didn't really appeal to me, that stuff. You know, I didn't really like the new romantic stuff when I was little, because it was all about love, and I was, you know, 7 or 8 or whatever, and I didn't like songs about love. And it was when I heard True Faith on like Tiswas or something, and I was like, whoa, what is this? It's like otherworldly, like big drums, weird lyrics about, well, I don't know what's going on here, and that weird video as well. You know, that just really appealed to kind of like, just, I don't know, and that was the thing. So I was obsessed with New Order for like, well, most of my life, to be honest, but you know, but I was obsessed with them probably till the football one came out, to be honest. And Joy Division, really into Joy Division. And then I listened to John Peel a lot, and then I got into Stereolab through John Peel quite early on, and I think it was about their 3rd album or something. And then I just got hooked onto them, and they were the first band that made me really think, I want to make music. And as I say, I bought a 3-4 track. I was always doing like school bands and stuff like that. Yeah, lots of good music.
I mean, we're older than you, so I mean, we was ahead when it came to the Police. You know, what I mean, I think when was that? 82, 83-ish that they was in their prominence, I suppose. And I remember being in bands playing synthesizers at the time, totally dismissing them because they didn't play synthesizers. Like,
really?
Being really snobby about it. The same with the Smiths, and the same with a lot of those bands that were around at the time. And then, as an older person going back, thinking, oh, shit, the Police were actually like a pretty good band, and like the Smiths were amazing, and totally disregarded them because of my snobbiness.
That was like anything, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, as I say, with the Aurora record, because I think she did a Marks and Sparks advert, I didn't really give much attention to her first record, you know, because of that indie of my own. And then suddenly you actually listen to it, and you're like, this is really good. You know, I should stop being such a snob.
It's funny, Blue Money's my ringtone, actually. So
is it?
Yeah, classic. Oh, mate,
my son, my eldest son, was born to Blue Monday. It just happened to be on the radio in the operating theatre.
Wow.
So when the cesarean was happening.
My daughter was born on Seal Kiss to a Rose.
Oh, okay. That's
her middle name is Rose.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. that's nice.
Mate, talking about legends, you're hitting the road soon with our friend Mr. Neil Arthur, aren't you?
I am. Well, I don't think we're sharing the same van, but I am playing three dates with Blancmange. Yeah, I am Exeter, Southampton, and Dis.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's Norfolk, isn't it?
Norfolk. Yeah. Yeah.
And Alice is playing some dates as well with him.
She's playing some dates. I don't know which ones, but she's also playing some dates. Yeah. So that's brilliant. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, Mark and I seeing him in Colchester, so I was hoping you'd be there, but hopefully Alice is there.
I think Alice might be doing Colchester. I don't know. He's doing a lot of dates, isn't he? I mean,
yeah. I mean, he's like you. He's just bringing out tons of stuff. I mean, he doesn't run a record label, but his output is outrageous.
Yeah. Have you heard the new album yet? Because it's
no, it's not out yet.
I've heard the single of it.
Yeah.
Which I think is really good. It kind of harks back a bit to the early Blancmange stuff, and he's just re-signed to London Records, I think.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's gone full circle back to where he started. So it's sounding good. I'm looking forward to that album.
Yeah.
No, I'm obviously looking forward to the dates. It's going to be great.
Have you met him before, mate?
No.
You're in for a treat. He's as honest as the day's long, as funny as hell, and just fantastic. Yeah,
I've heard good things, obviously, and obviously I watched your video. Well, your show with him on. So I mean,
it was fantastic. It was really, really great guest. For us, it was kind of quite nice because when we used to go and see Depeche Mode and OMD, like back in 80, 81, Blancmange were always support. They were always support band. So
everyone.
It was kind of like nice to speak to him and just like go full circle and just chat to someone that we saw so often back in the day.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
What's next for you, buddy? Because I mean, got a really good thing going on. Is a new album being worked on now, or is it coming down the pipe? Or no? Touching by
I mean, like the last album, I had to. It took a year and a half, and I couldn't really do much else. I managed to squeeze in Alice's second album and the Mood Taeg album, but it's very hard to do. I couldn't do any gigs of my own. Will I do another album? I mean, we'll see. As I say, I'm making it all up as I go along. I know what's going on in the near future. Obviously, I've got the gigs with Blancmange. I've got a couple of shows with Gemma, playing in Reading, and obviously I'll play blooming anything if anybody asks me to play, really. So that's good. I'm going to do Winter Palace as a single in October.
Oh, brilliant!
I've written a new B-side for that as well, and I've got a couple of remixes. So Gemma's done a remix for me, and Infraviolet as well. Not really nice band. I've done a remix for them. They've got a synthwave band, and they've remixed me, so that's good. So that'll be out. I've got a song that I wrote on it for the album. It's called Exercise Class. It was like kind of the last track on the album I wrote, and I couldn't decide whether that should go on the album or I think it was I can't remember what the other one was. It was a choice of two anyway, and I picked the other one. So I've got this sort of track left over. I was sort of half recorded, and it's a bit silly. That's why it didn't make the cut. But I'm going to do it as a single, probably in January, to cash in on everybody starting to work out to lose them Christmas pounds. like I normally do, So it's a kind of cash-in single. See how that works out. I was just saying, I've been playing it live, and people seem to kind of like it. So,
We both did some things we cannot change, unable to see each other.
let's do that. So, and after that, as I say, I'm making it all up as I go along.
Brilliant.
Until I'll keep gigging until Memory Box is sold out, and then I don't know. I'm thinking about just doing more remixes as well. I maybe doing an album of my remixes. Maybe I don't know. Because I mean, whenever I do a remix, I put a lot into it, but they never sound the same. None of my remixes really sound like any other ones. So,
I mean, how do you keep all the balls in the air? Because it's hard enough with looking after yourself and vinyl production and sending stuff away and getting it back. And if you're working working as a label with half a dozen artists and everyone's got different releases and stuff, the schedules must get really complicated.
Well, look, the label is it's really, really hard for everybody right now. So I don't know what's around the corner. It's the production time, the wait time. It was like 8 months it took me to get the vinyl of Memory Box. You know, I think most of us have had a bit of put our albums out and had a bit of a break, really.
Yeah.
So I don't think you got a lot around the corner because we're all promoting the other ones. So, and I'm not taking anybody new on unless somebody comes along who's super charismatic that I think I can sell 300 copies
on Instagram.
Exactly, and they'll get played on Six Music like that or whatever. Then maybe, but you know, it's really tough out there. People, we are selling. Everybody, I'm not the only label saying this, but most of us labels are saying the same thing. But sales have dried up a lot since the war and since Brexit, because we're not selling anything like we used to sell to the EU. I've lost a quarter of my customers.
Yeah,
you know, just wiped out, and I don't blame them. I bought a record the other day from Germany. I'm not going to say how much I paid for it in case my wife watches this, but you bought it, and then they had 20% on for VAT. Then you get hit a blooming thing from the post saying it's 30 quid.
Yeah,
it's like, how the hell, you know? So I don't blame people for not buying. So it's really, really tough out there, and people don't appreciate that. So everybody who buys the record, you can't, you know, I really, really appreciate it because it makes a hell of a difference.
But it takes two to get us in and out of this mess. I never knew what was going on, just like you.
Could talk to you forever. I think, you know, what you're doing is fantastic. You know, we've told loads of people about this, and anyone hasn't bought it, get it, because it's a fantastic album. And as I said when I reviewed it, it's a contender. It's fantastic. We absolutely love it.
So if anybody wants to find out about Rodney Cromwell, probably the best place to go is they could go on the website, but I can't be asked updating it all the time. Go on to like my Instagram, and there's a link tree there, and that's got links to all the dates and stuff like that. That's the best place, to be honest. Just makes my life so much easier. So,
we'll put a link up on this show when we edit it all, mate, and show people where to go.
Well, yeah,
great.
I think you've proven that the point of contact is always Instagram for you.
Yeah, obviously.
Any new songs,
don't PM me.
Any new songs, everything, Instagram. But yeah, thank you for your time this afternoon. It's much appreciated, and it's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Thanks for having me. It's been awesome.
And if you well, I mean, you're in London anyway, but I mean, if you're ever at a loose end or doing something, give us a shout, and we'd love to buy you dinner or a beer or something. Thank you.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you can totally do that. Yeah,
mate. Thank you so much.
Nice one. Thanks for having me.
Cheers for your time. And
all right then.
Keep up the good work. Love it. Thanks.
Will do. Okay, so that's it for another fantastic interview episode of the Electronic Cafe. I hope you really enjoyed the conversation Mark and I had with the rather brilliant and lovely Rodney Cromwell. Thank you very much, my friend. It was great chatting to you. We look forward to seeing you soon. Right, that's it. We'll see you on another episode of the Electronic Cafe very soon. There's loads of big new names coming through, loads more interviews. We can't wait to bring them to you very soon. So that's it. Take care. Bye-bye for now.
As always, thanks again for watching the Electronic Cafe. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.